Recording, so we are live. Hello again. I'm Stephen Oliver, and I'm joined today by our teammates Mindy Godfrey and Jeff Smith. And what we want to spend some time on, and now I've got me talking in echo here. What we want to spend some time on is talking about referral systems. And Jeff, as you and I know, most people think referrals are, well, I got to tell you, most people who are, the bottom 90% of any industry, but certainly in this niche, think referrals are doing a great job for their clients and sitting back, and give them some business cards and sitting back and waiting for their clients to send them people. And how well does that work from your 50-year experience in business?
Well, the problem with referral, a lot of people, when you ask them, how they got their new clients, they're going to say, well, my best advertising is word of mouth. But the problem is they don't have any systems to generate that word of mouth. They don't know how to get the client to refer somebody. So they have to have referral mechanisms in place to engage their clients so they can get those referrals, because they are right. If they are doing a good job, their clients will refer them. But if they don't show the client the different ways to get them referred, then it doesn't work.
Well, yeah, I mean, and maybe to say it differently, for advisors who have a big staff, and I work with, individual advisors who have maybe 4 or 5 people working directly for them, or big RIAs that can be have huge staffs. But if you went through and did an honest assessment of your staff, and they're in line at Starbucks and somebody asks them a question, their ability to do the elevator pitch, or what Chet Holmes used to call the stadium pitch, their ability to, on a cold basis, to talk somebody into being involved with your firm is probably, on a scale of 1 to 10, about a 2. And then what we think is that our customers are going to love what we do to the point that they're going to go pitch their friends to independently contact you and come in as a client. And certainly that happens sometimes, but it very rarely happens, right? What we know is our clients, number one, are not good at selling our service. Number two, they're hesitant to try to pitch their friends on anything for fear of you, meaning the other side, screwing up the relationship and them having egg on their face with their friends. That's issue number two. And so what we know about referrals is our, probably our best approach, where you can generate the most, is having live events where your clients are excited about, happy to bring their friends, that then you can introduce their friends to your service. And those events can have a wide range. I know one advisor that I've worked with, he has an annual birthday party for himself, and it's become a massive community event. And so they end up with this massive community event for his birthday party for himself, where all of his clients attend and bring their friends, and they make this big celebration, and they have everything from circus acts to musical acts and everything else. And it's basically an excuse to have this big community event. Another side of it is various client appreciation events. One client we have did it at a local winery in their area. Another one at a local art gallery that was a friend of theirs. Another one, I'm trying to get him to do it at the local Porsche dealership, because he's a collector, and it'd be a natural tie to come and look at his collection and look at all the toys, and by the way, bring their friends, and their friends can get introduced to the practice as well. So having live events in person, or webinar or Zoom meetings with a reason, some of them can be purely recreational. The big birthday party for himself, the thing at the Porsche dealership, the thing at the art gallery, the thing at the winery. Or they can be educational, having a series of educational events at your office in the conference room, having a series of educational events at an external facility that your clients are all invited to. And by the way, and given a pass, a ticket, an invitation for their friends to bring their friends in, is one referral system that works really well. Mindy, Jeff, expand on that.
Well, one of the things I think they have to remember is if they want to get their friends to to bring, I mean, their clients to bring a friend, they've got to engage both of them. I find that it helps not just your referral by them inviting their friend, but it helps your longevity of you getting to know your client better. If you have a get together, whether it's at your house or a steak dinner at the one of the good restaurants in town or whatever it is, but it should be a topic that is going to appeal to the client base that you're looking for. Of course, your clients that you have, it could be something that they're not even familiar with yet, and it would be you have now an opportunity to take your clients and get them engaged in another one of your services. So I always like that, what I call the win-win situation, where we're helping the client by getting to know them better, giving them maybe a dinner or wine and cheese something, and then at the same time, giving their friend a chance to see the services that you do provide. And even though you're talking about that one service in a little more in depth at that time, you also, at the end say, we also do blah, blah, blah. And then that's the time to hand out your book or booklet or information. And now you've got all of these other people that, and you tell them, the friends of the friends, and if you have somebody that is interested or a family member, contact us. And now they're going to feel a little bit more engaged with you rather than just picking a name out of a phone book, because they've had a chance to meet you, and hopefully you know how to, you know how to develop that rapport. So you're going to make people like you when they do meet you, and now they're going to want to do business with you.
And for those of you listening to this who are not old enough to remember, a phone book was actually when they printed a directory of people's names and home address and phone number of everyone in the community, which nowadays, all of the morons going on about privacy rights online miss the fact that it used to show up on your doorstep, this big book of everybody that lived in the city, what their name was, what their physical address was, and what their home phone number was. But that's a phone book. Nowadays they they Google it, and the yellow pages version of the phone book was this yellow paper printed version that was the business directory, where you could buy ads. So I thought I'd clarify that reference for anybody under 50 on the meeting here, Jeff. But I, I still say, when you're doing a videotape too, which they haven't put it to tape in I don't know how many years now, but and of course we say give them a videotape, when we mean send them a link so they can stream it live probably. But going back to referrals, is I think there's several keys. One key is what most advisors do is maybe they meet with each of their clients once a year, maybe twice a year in person, to do a review and a planning session. And if that's the only time that you're top of mind with your clientele, the other 364 days a year, when they're going and having a golf outing with a friend, when they're having a luncheon, when they're having a dinner party, when they're going out to a play, anytime they're sitting and talking to associates at work, social acquaintances, family members, you're not top of mind. And so what happens is all kinds of conversations come up around money. They come up around fear of college expense. They come up with, they revolve around family trust, life insurance and so forth. They come up around multi-generational wealth and how to deal with the grandkids and so forth. They come up with how to deal with taxes. There's all kinds of conversations that friends over lunch or co-workers, metaphorically at the the water what do you call that? Now I'm losing that one. The staying around the office pretending to work. Well,
Water
conversations that come
cooler.
out. Water cooler. That's the word I was looking for. That's the word I was looking for. I'm not sure that's a dated reference yet. Perhaps it is, but uh, but there's all kinds of conversations that come up. However, if this month they got your drip email campaign constantly, but they got a physical newsletter, they got a copy of your new report, and they got 5 copies in the mail. They got a copy of your latest book, and they had an invitation to the first of the month webinar and the middle of the month webinar on different topics. All of a sudden, you're top of mind. And I tell the story about sitting here at my desk, and Jeff, and I've worked very closely with Dan Kennedy's over the years. But I mean, I could sit at my desk and very intentionally from him, I have the Dan Kennedy no BS clock. I have a bobblehead of him sitting on a longhorn, with
Him on the cover right over your shoulder there.
yeah, him and me on the cover, a magazine cover that says marketing geniuses issue. I like that one. Dan Kennedy and Stephen Oliver, etc. But you want it to be where they're getting so many touches that when they have those water cooler conversations or those lunch conversations, is your name comes up. The other element to this, and I didn't think in terms of this. I got it off somebody else's podcast. If I remember who it was, I'd give credit. But they said something I thought was very, very useful. Is they said for most financial advisors, you handle an awful lot of different issues. You can do deferred employee compensation, handling retirement, handling multi-generational wealth transfers, and a whole bunch of other things. But your clients only know you as the person that handles whatever their problem was that you solved for them. So if they're not aware of your wide range of talents, then when a conversation comes up that's different from what they did for you, the last thing they're going to do is think of you. And frankly, I've had this where I've had people I work with, I like them. They did a great job for me. Haven't talked to them in 12 months or something like that. And then somebody brings up a related topic, and the last thing that comes to mind is them, just because they're not front of mind. And of course, as we all know now, the biggest mistake is just to rely on email. I mean, it's not that email is worth less, but it's gradually dying a slow and painful death. And I want it to be where I have educational events. I have, um, um, fun events, art gallery, and so forth. But I have webinars, and I have Zoom meetings, and I have live meetings, and I have books and pamphlets. But I want to make sure that stuff's being distributed physically as well as digitally, so that all of my clients are getting a lot of resources all the time. And from their standpoint of me servicing them, is it looks as if, and it is true, that I'm providing service above and beyond. And from the standpoint of them being top of mind with me and being able to share with their friends, it gives them a lot of tools to share. What would you add to that? Yellow.
You're muted, Mindy.
I was trying not to cough on camera, so I muted. No, that definitely the top of mind thing is so important, because it's so easy to not share. I mean, it's far more easy to not share than it is to share. So creating those things that you can pass along, creating those invitations. And Jeff, you actually alluded to this earlier, making sure you really get to know your clients, because the better you get to know your clients, the more likely they are to think of you more often. If they feel like they've got a deep personal connection with you, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to come to mind more quickly.
And just like Mindy is saying there, keeping in touch and in contact. A lot of advisors only talk with their clients when they sign them up. When they get them as a new client, and now they kind of put them on the back burner, thinking that, okay, I've got them now. They should constantly stay in touch with them, and that way they have an inline to get more referrals. But as I was saying before, when you do an event, whether it's a dinner or an outing, where you're going to talk about a certain topic, this is going to engage your current client. And that's why I said it doesn't have to be what you got them doing, but here's something else that I do that you might be interested in listening to, and you can invite your friends to also. And then by engaging both the friend and the client, you're talking then, as I said at the end, about all the different things that you can, that you services you do provide, that they'll go, oh, I wasn't interested in what you talked about, but that didn't work for me. But one of those other things you do, maybe I have grandkids who I want to help, set up their college fund. I want to help. I have parents that are going to be retiring, and I want to help them. Or maybe I'm going to be retiring, and I want to set up a retirement fund. So there's all these other kind of topics, and the good thing with if you diversify with enough different ideas, you've got an unlimited supply of clients out there, because they all need one or another of the things that you do.
Yeah, yeah, and the advertising great Ogilvy from years ago, and he was really the first one in Madison Avenue to understand direct response marketing. But he had a great line, which is, you're not advertising to a standing army, you're advertising to a moving parade of people. And what he meant by that is not that your city or neighborhood is turning over all the time, but what he meant is their needs are changing constantly. And so if you're not in touch constantly, you have clients who are suddenly coming into a big inheritance that you didn't know about. You also have clients that have changes in their work environment, they have changes in their family environment, they have changes in their opportunity. And if you're not in front of them constantly, as opposed to just like the once a year review that you might do with them, or once every 6 months review that you might do with them, you miss a lot of opportunity. You miss opportunity for them personally to help them with their finances and create, obviously for yourself, revenue opportunities, but even more important is opportunities to be useful for them and to help them. But also then you miss opportunities with their friend, their family, relatives, business associates, and so forth, just because they're not aware and they're not paying attention. Again, one advisor I work with, and this is a lot easier than it sounds, is they put together a small book about once a quarter, and then they go print 5 per client and send 1 for each client, and then 5 for their friends, and a cover letter. And it has been creating such a huge flood of referral traffic for them. Frankly, they don't need to do anything else. And I think that's a mistake. We always want to have a lot of stuff going on, aka a Parthenon of marketing activities, but it creates such a flood that they don't need it, because that pass along tool on narrow topics is really useful. Same thing is true if like I've mentioned before, having C-suite executives and big employers in town. Well, if I suddenly am the person who handles Vonage's retirement plans, or AT&T's, or Procter and Gamble, or whoever your biggest employer in town is, well, having a book about the Procter and Gamble retirement plan done right, or we have a client who's got a police background, and so it's all about how police do the retirement best, and how they end up retiring, and then developing their retirement plan pre-retirement, obviously. But any little niche that you're in, the more you do targeted reports, targeted books, targeted tools aimed at that niche, and then the more you create live events targeting at that niche, then that gives those people something to share, right? So if I'm currently active in a small or mid-sized police department, I have something that I can physically pass along to everybody, and physically invite everybody I know in the department. I have something that I can go directly to the department, but I can go through my clients who are already a part of the department. It's just one example. But what I'm always looking for is ways to gain that level of leverage, to stay top of mind awareness with my clients, obviously in a positive way, without it being bugging them or harassing them. And that is as we talk, for instance, about email, people say, well, I only want to email my clients once a month or once a week because I don't want them to get annoyed. Well, I got to tell you, if you only email them once a month or once a week, they aren't even paying attention. They don't even know you're emailing them. When the average person, especially the ones you want, get 200 plus emails a day, if you're not emailing them once or twice a day, they're not paying attention and not seeing that you're there. So you're missing out on huge opportunity. Guys, what would you two add to that?
I think you hit on a point there that, as you get to know your clients better, what organizations they're in, what, maybe what company, they might be working for a large company that you could, offer something that same interest that your client has for their members. If he's in another organization or a group that he's a member of, talking to the group, setting that up. But if you don't get to know your members well enough, and if you don't ask them questions like that, when you're trying to get a referral from a client, it helps to kind of expand their thinking. Do you have any, any relatives, any friends, any coworkers, any organizations or groups you belong to, family members, grandkids and then you find out, where their connections are, that you can actually reach out and share that knowledge with him to share with them or both.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you add to that, Mindy?
Well, I think it's just staying on that message of really getting to know your clients. Your clients have chosen to work with you, so you're not bugging them when you send them information, when you update them on things. They want to hear from you. They want to know you're working for them. And the more that you are in front of them in those ways, the more likely you are again to be that top of mind and be able to be shared easily with their friends and coworkers.
And
Yeah, and
said it also, Steve, that it's important that you let them know all your other services that you do. So if that comes onto their radar or friends, or you can share it with a friend, then like you said, they might not even know that you touched that field because you were working with them maybe in just one area.
Yeah. Well, and from a standpoint of what you were saying, Mindy, is see if I am constantly sending them a pitch every time I communicate, that gets repetitious and boring, right? So if I'm constantly, here's the next new thing you should buy, or here's the next new thing that you should pitch your friends, or if it's constantly a overt pitch for referrals, that gets to be annoying. However, if I'm balancing it out, and let's say that a third of everything I send them is purely educational, and a third of it is educationally entertaining, and a third is some different way that they can engage with my practice or their friends too, then that's fine, right? So the more it leans to, I'm providing education, perhaps with an implied mechanism for it to be shared with friends and family, then it doesn't get to be annoying. It doesn't seem like it's purely self-serving. I've been remiss in not pointing out that our long laborious process here of finally having the book ready for market is set to go. So Extraordinary Marketing for Financial Advisors, we're releasing that. Clock is ticking by the time everybody sees this this podcast or hears it. It will be available on the market. I would recommend everybody go to Advisor Wealth Mastery to learn more, and we'll have the links up there to purchase it and one thing or another here shortly. So that's been Mindy, would you say a laborious process that's a little behind schedule now?
Yes,
But,
I will.
And by the way, as we talk about you doing a book for yourself, it doesn't have to be as this one is. I think it tops out a little over 350 pages. This one is quite in depth and substantive. Really, any one of the chapters. We have chapters on webinars and Zoom meetings, fixing your website, search content marketing, social media marketing, LinkedIn, Facebook marketing, using and not using email, using direct mail, um, as well as how to position yourself as the guru in your area and how to fish in the right pond and so forth. Any one of those chapters could have been a freestanding book in and of themselves if we had wanted to be. And from a standpoint of little books that you would use to market your practice and to have your clients share with them, a 20 to 40 page book is just as good as one that's 350 pages. This is designed obviously to be content rich and useful in a very actionable way for everybody who picks it up. And by the way, it is a companion piece to our extraordinary marketing program for financial advisors, which is on CD and DVD. If you still have a CD and DVD player, but it's also on behind a paywall as downloads and streaming in one thing or another as a complete package, along with a lot of written materials. But it stands on its own, and it's a marvelous companion piece to that program as well. We should wrap up here pretty quick. We're going to try to keep this short and sweet, but the point here is that just doing a great job for your clients and then sitting back and waiting for them to sell your practice to their friends is mostly a fool's errand. You'll get a trickle, but you're not going to get a flood of traffic. The first step in that is you've got to learn how to ask, and we think of the term I stole from, I think, Tom Hopkins or somebody, is isolate faces, but you got to learn how to ask effectively of who they know, who their circle of influences are, who their friend circles and so forth are, in order to find direct referrals by asking when you're meeting with them. But then next is you've got to find events that they feel comfortable bringing their friends to, events that they feel comfortable inviting their friends to. That's a very low barrier. And then you give them the tools and so forth. I like physically printed tickets still. We'll mail them out, 5 looks like Super Bowl tickets for their friends. You can print those very inexpensively, full color even. But send them like Super Bowl looking tickets to come to the meeting at your office, come to the meeting at if you want it to be a restaurant or at a hotel or whatever you might have it be. Same thing with client appreciation events. Sending them physical tickets, sending them digital invites, but nothing replaces somebody in your office personally calls each one and says, hi Sue, I'm having this special event at the Porsche dealership or at the winery or at the art gallery. I was really hoping you and Bill could make it. Oh, is that going to work for you? Great. And by the way, we're going to have some educational material available and so forth. If you have any of your friends who would like to come and just look at the gallery, or if you have any that might have some needs that we could help solve, either way, we'd love to have family and friends come. Do you know anybody offhand that you might like to bring with you? Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you 6 tickets, for 6 people or 3 couples or whatever mix and match you want to have. Feel free to invite anybody who might be a good fit for our practice or who might just enjoy coming out to a social evening with you. Either way is certainly fine with us. See, so nothing replaces a personal invite. And the worst thing to do is talking one to many rather than one to one, which again is the problem with the way people craft emails. They craft emails like it's a generic newsletter, which people more or less ignore, rather than it's a one-to-one communication. I'd much rather have a handwritten note that goes to somebody than a newsletter that has it embedded in it. And it can even be a fake handwritten newsletter as an invitation. But the more personal, more it is a one-on-one, one-to-one communication, at least in perception, then the better off you are. Mindy or Jeff, anything to add to that before we call it a day?
I just like to remind everybody, a lot of them, a lot of people out there might not know your background as much, and you wrote over 20 years ago. You wrote a book on internet marketing. So
1999.
that was just one of your many talents in marketing. And when you talk about Parthenon marketing, all the different streams or funnels that can come into your business. Nobody has been around that knows more about it, I think, in today's age. So,
Yeah.
listen up.
Well, yeah, and we bring the unique perspective of both an insider's and an outsider's perspective, and frankly, I've been very critical of the industry just because it has such blinders on and such limited perspective, and that's where working with so many different businesses and different niches, but really cutting our teeth outside where we had to be much more, let's say, aggressive in finding new clients. Jeff, you've probably your own organization had to create what, at least 50,000 clients directly, and have done thousands of sales conversations, belly to belly, face by face, and close sales one-on-one and personally. And I've had to create well over 35,000 new clients for my organization, and have probably belly to belly, face to face done over 5,000 sales one-on-one. And anybody who hasn't had to be responsible for creating traffic for their own organization and hasn't sat where you've sat and done the face-to-face belly-to-belly sale really can't understand the stresses and struggles and opportunities on a day-by-day basis. Well, thanks all. And Jeff, I think we're going yet to another meeting, our Death by Zoom day today, but hopefully the content today has been valuable for everybody, and I look forward to our next opportunity.